Hi, it's Bryan A. Smith, your CEO for Creative Management. And I'm coming to you today to tell you about the time in my life where everything turned around for me. Um, I remember as a little child, growing up in the church. That's all I knew was church, 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 church. We were always in church. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday night, whatever. We was in church. And so, as far as music and entertainment was concerned, I only knew gospel music and him outside of what came on the radio, which very rarely we listened to anything current. My parents loved oldies, so that's what we listened to a lot of times, even to the radio station. But anyways, as far as live performance, I really had no experience. I was about the age of 7, and myself, my sister, who would have been about 10 or 11, my cousin, who was also 7, and my little cousin, who was 2. He probably doesn't even remember this. My grandmother took ill, and we were staying with her. She took ill, so that meant that my uncle had to step in and watch us while my parents and my aunt were out of town. So um, he had a gig, he had a band, and he had a jazz band. He was a phenomenal musician, very talented. He had this ability to pick up any instrument and be able to uh, play that instrument as if he'd been playing it for years on the first time. And that's phenomenal talent. They actually called him Mr. Magic because he just had this magical way of pulling people in as he played and as he interpreted music in his experience in his lifetime. And so this particular time, he had a performance at a local club. And I remember traveling in his orange BMW to the performance, and I remember us pulling up next to the railroad tracks, which the railroad tracks, you had to cross over the tracks in order to get to the club. And it was like a little juke joint place. Clearly, it had a stage. It had lighting, very, 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 very nice lighting. It had the on-stage lighting that reflected up, and it had the over the audience lighting that hit the stage. So it was really, really nice. Very dark because the stage was the center point, and the stage just lit up. And I remember the smell of cigarettes and tobacco and all that type of stuff in the air. The smell of liquor, because of course it was a club, so it was being served. And there was people there that were drinking it. And I also remember um, seeing all the women there and the men there who were trying to talk to the women and holler at them. They were half drunk and the women were half dressed. So yeah, as a little child, all this is going on in this particular place. And so it was very chaotic, very, 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 very chaotic. And I remember sitting in the back, and the performers before my uncle, they were good, but nothing spectacular, nothing like wow. And so my uncle's band, which consisted of a guitar player, a vocalist, a keyboard player, and a drummer, and my uncle, who was playing the saxophone for this particular event, took the stage. And the vocalist, she was stage center. My uncle was to the what would be our left, looking at the stage to her, and the band was behind him, and they were all just grooving. She was scatting, she was doing her thing, and it was phenomenal, phenomenal. And at this particular point in time, I guess my uncle decided or felt the groove very tremendously, and he kind of all of a sudden, that his magical talent, as people would say, all of a sudden just started working overtime, and he just captivated the entire audience to the point where the solo was kind of stopped in the middle of her singing, and kind of stepped back and let him come center stage, and he just blew the entire crowd away. I mean, just blew us away. It was phenomenal. I mean, he just captivated the entire place and took control, and everyone was living in that moment, in that particular moment. And the band, and she eventually came back and, kind of undergirded what he was doing and kind of made the music come alive in the room. It was as if the music was actually living in that room to me. I don't know about anybody else, but to me it was. And in that moment, it changed my life because I decided that I wanted to be a performer. And I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be in music. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be able to put on productions and all types of things that left people with a moment in time. where their life was able to experience something that I helped create it, whether it be musically, whether it be, in the back room, whatever. And so this is the kind of ideology that I want creative management to have and to be able to embrace whenever we're putting forth productions and we're working with our clients, whether we're working from a management standpoint or we're working from a production standpoint or we're actually working from a whatever facet of business that we're working from, that we're leaving our clients and our audience who's watching us with a moment in time, a moment where they can see this talent actually living. It's not just happening, but it's living, it's breathing. And I think if our clients embrace that with us, especially the ones that we're managing their careers and all that type of stuff, it'll take them far. Because ultimately, when you get on stage, you're giving your all, you're giving your performance, whether it be through acting, comedy, music, whatever, you're creating an atmosphere for an audience to exist in. And if you're not able to place them in that, then it's not going to work. And so that being said, I want each of us to embrace this story and think about a time that happened for us where we were able to exist in a created atmosphere and a created experience, musically, artistry, whatever it may have been, and embrace that whenever you're working with our clients, when you're working with different people in the entertainment industry. And if you do that, creative management will be successful, and success will lie not just for us, but for every person that we interact with, every client, every company, every business, doesn't matter. So just remember that, embrace that, and we'll go far.